Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm delighted to be here as the federal member for Indi to acknowledge the traditional owners, the first people of this country, to thank them for the custody and care that they've given this wonderful country of ours for so long, and to make a public commitment to be their effective and independent representative in this parliament. We've heard a lot already on this debate about national issues. We've seen the report and we know that there's a long way to go. Today I wanted to allocate the amount of time I've got to particularly talking about Indi and some of the wonderful things that the people in my electorate are doing around closing the gap, around raising awareness of traditional Aboriginal people, Torres Strait Islander people, First People, and my commitment to continue to work with them as we grow their impact in our community. So much is happening in Indi. So I'd like to just talk a little bit about some of the activities we're taking to enable me to better represent the First Peoples of Indi in Parliament. I have regular meetings with local people, and in December I met with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community representatives, Darren Moffat from Aboriginal Victoria, Tammy Campbell, who at that time was working with Wodonga College of TAFE, Liz Hedder from the Department of Health and Human Services, together with Bangarang elders, Baldarang elder Auntie Betty Hood-Cherry and Uncle Fred Dowling. We had a really good conversation around some of the activities that were happening and then planning for the new year. They told me about the proposed new home in Wangaratta for allied health outreach services and the study which is due to be completed in March and April 2017. They talked to me of the workplace activities that is happening in TAFE and DHS. And Darren made the very warm invitation for me to travel with him as he does his work around the electorate, visiting the various network groups. So we've put some dates in the diary for me to go out and spend quality time with my Aboriginal communities. I had a wonderful visit hosted by David Noonan, the CEO of Albury Wodonga Aboriginal Health Service, and was delighted to learn about the services they operate across border, understand what the board does, employing 50 staff, 20 of whom are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. And they're looking after between 3,500 and 4,000 clients a year. And then to bring a report of that visit to this House to make sure that they were being represented. Last year I also had the great pleasure of hosting Minister Ken Wyatt. He visited Benalla, and he, as a guest of the Central Hume Primary Care Partnership. So he was able to talk about aged care, and then he met with Aboriginal people and talked to them about some of the specific issues they had in the health area. And then a real highlight for me last year was a wonderful event that happens up in Bright in the Ovens Valley, the Marngrook family footy event. There was a huge crowd. Aboriginal people from all over Victoria came, as well as our guests from Northern Territory. What was really wonderful there's a sister town relationship between Wadeye in the Northern Territory and Bright. And young people from Wadeye come down to Bright. They attend school. They've got a business operating in the main street. But the footy event is the big event of the day. So thanks to all the team for that. It was just fantastic. And again, I was really proud to be able to come to this parliament to make a speech and to acknowledge the work of our community. But particularly to Jean, Principal of the P12, and all your partners in the foundation there, thanks for the wonderful work you do. But I'd particularly like to talk about an incident that happened last week that just makes me really proud and show the change is happening. Last week I had the great pleasure of having two of my community come and volunteer in Parliament House. Judith Ahmet and Talia Biggs came to Canberra and spent the week here. And among the many things that they did, they had the delightful pleasure of meeting Linda Burnley and Ken Wyatt and other Aboriginal people in this House and talking about their experiences. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about Judith. She's a very proud Gunditjmara woman who's lived and worked in North East Victoria for the past 26 years. She's a mother of 4 daughters and 8 grandchildren. And Judith has been a really active member of the Albury Wodonga Aboriginal community since 1991 and one of the co-founders of the Mungabarina Aboriginal Cooperative, which was established in 1994. She's been a board director of the Mungab Aboriginal Corporation on and off for the past 21 years. Like, what a contribution. And she's been on the board of the Albury Wodonga Aboriginal Health Service. She's been involved in several steering, reference, planning, advisory committees, both throughout North East Victoria and also statewide. One of the things about Judith that I'm so proud of, in 2015 she was inducted into the Victorian Aboriginal Honour Roll for the important contribution she's made to community services, justice and education. So not only is she a respected leader, she's also achieving the recognition that she deserves. And while busy doing all of that, she's got a master's degree in social work in research from La Trobe University in Albury-Wodonga. So it's just fantastic, Judith, to have you up here, to have you get to know that this is our place and welcome you anytime you want to come. We'd love to have you back. Now, Talia Biggs, she's one of our future young leaders. She, just a breath of delight, gorgeousness and representing what a fantastic future the Aboriginal people of Australia are going to bring to this parliament. So Talia works as a mentor and facilitator and a volunteer. She mentors Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and particularly young people from all around Victoria and in some cases around Australia. She tells me that she's engaged in areas of education, voting, health and wellbeing. And what she's really keen about is to uplift and ensure that voices are heard. She's found that she says, I've found that my work has inspired the participants to be leaders in our community. And as a result of her visit to here, Talia is now going to apply to be a participant in the National Indigenous Youth Parliament. And I say to any young Aboriginal people, this is a fantastic opportunity. Put your hands up for it. The National Indigenous Youth Parliament, come to this parliament for a week and you get an opportunity to really learn how parliament works. So I'll look forward, Talia, to welcoming you back as part of that. But I also want to spend a few minutes that are left to me just talking about what's happening in my electorate with Aboriginal people. And I wanted to thank the Senator Nigel Scullion for the brief he's prepared for me on Aboriginal people in Indi. Indi's got an overall population of 136,000. Approximately 1.6% of the population, that's 2,224 people, are Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. The school attendance rates in 2015 in my electorate were 88.2%. Then that's compared to an average for non-Indigenous students of 92.3%. So clearly in Indi we've got a long way to go about getting more Aboriginal kids in school. And for schools publishing attendance rates by ethnicity, 60% of the children of Aboriginal had an Aboriginal attendance rate. Sorry, I'll read that. For schools publishing attendance rates by indigeneity, 60% had an Indigenous attendance rate of at least 90%. But we've got 93.3% of non-Indigenous attendance. So we've got still a way to go there. The employment rate in Indi, 48.2%, compared with non-Indigenous an employment rate of 72.9% across the electorate. So we've still got a long way to go with employment. And the other statistic that I particularly want to pay some attention to, and it was mentioned by the Prime Minister, it's the large number of Aboriginal children in out-of-home care in my electorate. It's great to see that the Gateway Community Health is doing some work here, and I really stress how important it is. But when I had my meeting with my Aboriginal elders, they told me that this out-of-home care is a real concern. And I'm glad that the Prime Minister picked it up and made attention of it in his speech. But it's something that you wouldn't think in North East Victoria would be an issue that we have to pay attention to. So that's certainly something that I will focus on and work with my community around those statistics and what we need to do. So in closing, what I would really like to say to the people of my electorate, we have just got a most magnificent tradition and history of Aboriginal, First People and Torres Strait Islander contribution to our community. You've been there forever, and I want to acknowledge and thank what a fantastic job you've done looking after this wonderful country of ours, and to make the commitment that in the future that my role and the positional power of being a Member of Parliament is to shine the light on your work, to offer the support that I can and to make sure that I'm your representative here in Parliament, and to work very, very closely with all the groups to make sure that you come to Parliament, you can find your own voice and use it here as you need to in this people's place. So I'm looking forward to continue doing the work over the next 3 years, and thank you for the assistance you've given me so far to enable me to represent you in this place. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.